A middle-aged American woman and her loyal dog. English stories for learners. It was a quiet, ordinary morning when Helen, a middle-aged woman who had grown used to solitude, took her usual stroll through the sleepy streets of her small town. The air was crisp, the world still wrapped in the calm of early dawn. But as she turned the corner, something caught her eye: a stray dog, thin and trembling, alone on the cold sidewalk. A chill ran down her spine as their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Little did Helen know, this seemingly innocent encounter would set off a chain of events that would change her life and her bond with her loyal dog, Max, forever. What secrets was this dog hiding? And how far would Helen go to uncover them? There once lived a middle-aged woman named Helen, who, despite the bustle of life, always found comfort in the quiet company of her loyal dog, Max. Helen wasn't particularly extraordinary by society's standards, but she had a spirit that felt as familiar as a warm cup of tea on a rainy day. Her house, nestled on the edge of a small town, was a place of peace and simplicity. The walls of her home told stories of years gone by, decorated with faded photographs and mementos from a time when things seemed more carefree. Helen had never been one for big adventures or traveling the world. Instead, she found joy in the little things: the smell of fresh coffee brewing every morning, the sound of birds chirping as they greeted the day, and most importantly, the steady, comforting presence of Max. Max wasn't just any dog. He had been with Helen through thick and thin, through moments of joy and sorrow. He was more than a pet, he was her companion, her confidant, her friend. Max was a gentle golden retriever, his fur soft and golden, shining in the sunlight. He had a calm demeanor that seemed to reflect Helen's own quiet nature. No matter the day, Max was always by her side. Whether she was reading a book by the window or walking along the quiet streets of the town, Max's steady presence was a reminder that she was never alone. One cold autumn morning, as the crisp air filled the room, Helen sat at the kitchen table, a cup of tea in hand. She looked out the window, her thoughts drifting to the past. Her husband had passed away several years ago, and since then, it had just been her and Max. Her children had grown up and moved away, and while she was proud of their lives, she often felt the emptiness of their absence. But Max, with his soft eyes and gentle nature, never made her feel lonely. Max seemed to understand her unspoken words, his presence a constant source of comfort. It wasn't just his companionship that kept her going, it was his unspoken loyalty. He never judged her, never demanded anything in return for his love and attention. He was simply there, always. One day, as Helen walked through the quiet streets of the town, something unexpected happened. She had decided to take a different route that afternoon, strolling past the rows of familiar houses and the little shops that lined the main street. As she turned the corner, she noticed a stray dog sitting alone on the sidewalk. It looked tired, thin, and afraid. Helen's heart ached for the poor creature. Without thinking twice, she knelt down and called to the dog, gently coaxing it closer. Max, ever the protective companion, stood by her side, watching the stray dog with a mix of curiosity and concern. The stray hesitated at first, but the warmth in Helen's voice seemed to reassure it. Slowly, it approached, allowing her to stroke its matted fur. Helen could feel the dog's body trembling under her touch. It had been through hardships that no animal should ever endure. She decided then and there that she couldn't leave it on the streets. After a few moments, Helen stood up, glanced at Max, and said softly, "Let's bring him home, boy." Max wagged his tail in approval, as if he understood that they were about to embark on another journey together. Back at her house, Helen fed the stray dog and gave it a warm place to rest. She named him Charlie, after the late springtime breeze that seemed to sweep through the town on the day she found him. Charlie, though still nervous, quickly settled into the rhythm of the household. Max, always the gentle guide, showed Charlie the ropes: how to find the best spot on the couch, where to sit during dinner, and, of course, the routine of daily walks. Over the next few weeks, Helen noticed something extraordinary happening. Max, who had always been the center of her world, was now sharing that space with Charlie. The bond between the two dogs grew stronger with each passing day, and so did the bond between Helen and Charlie. She often caught herself smiling at the sight of the two dogs playing together in the yard, or lying side by side, content and at peace. As the days turned into months, Helen realized how much her life had changed. She had always believed that she didn't need anything more than Max to feel complete. But the arrival of Charlie had brought new light into her life, a reminder that love and loyalty were infinite, expanding even when you least expected it. One evening, as the sun began to set, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange, Helen sat on the porch with Max and Charlie by her side. The cool breeze ruffled her hair, and she felt a sense of contentment wash over her. She had never imagined that in the later years of her life, she would find herself caring for not one, but two dogs who had become the center of her world. Max, now older but still full of life, lay beside her, his head resting on her knee. Charlie, ever the curious one, trotted around the yard, sniffing at the air as if trying to catch the last traces of daylight. Helen chuckled softly to herself. The years may have passed, but the simple joys of life remained constant. In that moment, Helen understood something deeply profound: love, in its purest form, has a way of finding you when you least expect it. It may come in the form of a loyal dog who stays by your side through every hardship, or in the form of an unexpected companion who arrives just when you need them most. As she looked at her two dogs, Helen felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had not always been easy, but it had always been filled with love, and that, she realized, was the greatest gift of all. Helen, Max, and Charlie may not have been the most extraordinary family, but to each other, they were everything. And in their small, peaceful home, they had found the kind of happiness that money could never buy, the kind that comes from love, loyalty, and the quiet companionship of those who truly understand you.